Okay, so the class is being recorded. Today is day 21. You are welcome again to the Excel 30 Days Challenge. For those of you that have gotten this far in this training, I want to say congratulations to you, because I'm sure at least you've been able to learn one or two things, even if they are not so much, but at least you've been able to add one or two things to what you know before, or it could also be like a form of reminder on what you've learned so far. So today, let's just look at what macros are. So we're looking at macros. The first thing we're looking at is understanding macros. That's the first thing. So understanding macros. So that's the topic now. Okay. When you use Excel a lot, especially if you are using it for same tasks over and over again, you will find that you are executing the same procedures repetitively. Okay, so in that kind of situation, when you see that you are repeating the same procedures, okay, over and over again, where you might say to yourself, is there's got to be a faster and easier way that you can achieve those tasks. Okay, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and there's no better way to achieve this task being done, right? All you need to do is you need to learn macros. Macros can do the repetitive work for you. So therefore, what are macros? Macros are basically little bit of instructions code that run inside Excel. So they are automated, right? So they are automated instructions, or they are mini programs that run inside Excel. Macros can be simple, or they can turn Excel into a software developer environment. So that is what we are going to look at. So the first thing we're looking at is the major part of it. Okay, when you use Excel a lot, especially, okay, so let's quickly jot down. So that is now. So when you use Excel a lot, especially if you are using it for same tasks over and over again, you will find that you are executing the same procedures repetitively. Okay, so then you tell yourself there's got to be a better way. So that is when you come to macros. Okay, so sorry, I'm just trying to get it down so that most of us that are going to use the sheet, you can always see the sheet to use later, okay? So there's got to be a better way, and that is where macro coming. That is where macro comes in. Okay, macro comes in. So now macros can do the repetitive work for you. So that is that. Then the next thing is that what are macros? That is the next thing we need to look at. What are macros? Then we also need to like also the way we normally do, we wrap our text around. So basically, as we are working on Excel, we are also learning some basic things that we might have forgotten. We are going to learn other things in this course today. Apart from the macros that we're going to learn, we're going to learn some other shortcuts that will be very, very important to us. So what are macros now? Basically, what are macros? So macros are basically so macros are basically little bit of instructions, codes. So they are basically a little bit of instruction codes that runs inside of Excel. Inside of Excel. So they run inside of Excel. So they are also called automated instructions. They are automated instructions, or they are mini programs. So we're also going to look at how we can actually generate these kind of macros. So there are many programs that run inside Excel. So that is what macros are basically. Macro can be simple, or they can turn Excel into a software developing environment. So how to create macro now is now the next stage. So macros, it can be simple, or they can turn Excel into, and it will surprise you that macros are not something too difficult. Okay, they are something that they are normal. So what you discover that your basic knowledge of Excel is very, very important, because is the tasks that you normally do on a daily basis that you are used to always doing, that you repeat, is what you want to automate. That anytime you want to achieve that kind of task, you just quickly press some keys, like the way we have some shortcuts. So there are some short code that we're going to press that will run that macro for us. So for instance, let's assume you normally spend hours on a certain task that you normally do all the time. So, but you are now learning how to create, you record that task. Once you record the task, then you want to create that task within 1 minute by just pressing one click. So a macro can help you to achieve that. So we have looked at what macros are. Then how do we now create? There are two basic ways in which we can create macros. Okay, there are two basic ways in which macros can be created. The first one is that we can simply do it by recording our steps, just like the normal Excel, whatever we do. We can simply create it by running our step. I'm in a class. I'm in a class. So we can simply create it by few clicks. Okay, so that is one way. Then another thing is that we can also do it by doing what we call VBA, Visual Basic for applications. So we're going to learn those two, or we're going to look at, if we can, if time permits us, we can look at how we can generate it using either ways. Okay, so the next stage is the how to create macros. So that's the next stage, how to create macros. There are two basic ways that we can use, right? So, sorry. So there are two basic ways. Number one is we can record mouse clicks. So that is number one, by recording mouse clicks. And keystrokes. So the first method is by recording our steps. So anything that we are doing on Excel, we make sure that Excel is watching and Excel is recording them. So that's the first one. Then number two, we have another method, which is by you write a program in a language called VBA. So that's the next stage. So you can write a program. Okay, in a language, okay, that's called VBA. So what's the full meaning of VBA? Has anybody heard about what they call VBA before? On the call, anybody?
I used to see it, but I don't know the meaning.
Okay, so it's called Visual Basic for Applications. That's what they call it. So they actually use it. It's like a programming language. That is what most people that create what's it called? People that do coding, people that create website and everything. So they usually work with those people that create apps. You see that there are some apps that run on your phone, on your system, and all those things. So most of them they know this language, Visual Basic for applications. So they know it a lot, and that is what is actually that is the secret of what they are doing. So we're going to be looking at, so since we know that there are two methods of creating these macros, right? The first one is by recording our mouse clicks and keystrokes. Then we play them later. Then the next one is by writing down a program in a language called VBA. Let's now look at both of them separately. What are the advantages and the disadvantages of each of them? So the first one we're looking at is advantages of creating macros by recording clicks and keystrokes. So that's the first one we're looking at. So we say advantages. So the advantages now of doing that, let's say, and keystrokes. So let's see what the advantages are. So number one among it is that it requires no programming language. So that's the first thing, one of the advantage of it. So even if you're not someone that knows programming language, you have no issues. So it requires, you can always achieve that. Sorry, requires no programming language. That's the first advantage. So requires no programming language. So that's the first one. Then the next one is that uses the Excel knowledge you already have. So I told us that people that do macro and you record your step, use basically garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you know in Excel comes to play. So uses the Excel. I don't know why is okay. So uses the Excel knowledge that you already know. Okay. So using the knowledge you already have. So So that is advantage of using the recorded version. So obviously, anything that has an advantage will also have a disadvantage. So let's quickly look at. So we can see that we only have 2 advantages for this one. Then we can now see the disadvantage of doing these as well. So let's quickly check for the disadvantage. We'll put it here like this. I'm going to see, I'll put disadvantage at the front. Disadvantage. So what are the disadvantages of recording our clicks? So one of the disadvantages is that whenever you record your clicks, right, you can't modify a macro after you create it unless you edit the VBA. So you cannot modify. That's one of it. So if there is an error, everything is going to be recorded. So if there is a mistake in the macro, everything is going to be recorded, and then you cannot record any error. So you cannot modify. So that is one of the disadvantages of doing this. Okay, so you cannot modify a macro after you create it. Create it in brackets. I now say that unless you edit the VBA. So this is one of the disadvantages. So if there is an error or there is something, a step that you recorded which ought not to be recorded, okay, you discover that there could be a lot of wrong approaches that you took before you now got the right answer. But because they are all recorded, Excel does not know the one that you would want to edit away. Excel is going to record everything exactly the way you have imputed. So that's why I say that it's garbage in, garbage out. And let us also forget that whatever you know is what you can also impute into the macro. The next one is recorded macro have no ability to make decisions. So recorded macro have no ability to make decisions. They are just like that. So the recorded macros, they have no ability to make decisions, except if you as the woman that created it, you decide to make the decision by yourself. So he on his own does not have the ability to make the decision. Then the next one, all clicks are recorded, including errors and corrections. So that's another disadvantage of it. All the clicks are recorded. Somebody wants to join the call. Let me see. Uh-oh, I thought somebody wants to join the call. Okay, I can't see the person. All right. So so we've been able to look at all those things that I feel we need to know, because macro is not something you rush. So it's like programming. We are going to go and activate another add-on like the way we did the other day. So the next one we want to look at is, okay, number 3, I also mentioned something. I said all errors are recorded. So let me just quickly put that as well. So all clicks So all clicks are recorded, including errors and the correction. So somebody wants to join this call, and I've been trying to admit the person. Okay, so all clicks are recorded, including the errors and the corrections. Okay, so that is that. So let's now go over to the other one, which is the more advanced one. We are going to look at the advantages of creating macros by writing a VBA code. That's the S one. Advantages of creating a macro by writing a VBA code. So I already told us that what the full meaning of VBA. VBA is Visual Basics for Application. That's the meaning of VBA. I think we have it somewhere around the Visual Basic for Application. So advantages of creating macros by writing VBA codes. Okay, so that is that. So what are the advantages of creating macros by writing a VBA code? The first one is that you can modify macros as much as you like. So that's the first one. You can modify macros as much as you like. Number two, you can also, some tasks can be done only by programming. So there are certain tasks that you cannot do except you use programming language, because you cannot actually achieve them as an individual. There are certain tasks that is going to be impossible to achieve as a human. Okay, you cannot actually achieve them by your Excel skill. So that is when these VBA coding come into play. So that is the next one. So they say that some tasks can only by programming. And then the last one, for the most part, VBA works for same in all Office applications. So VBA work the same. Like if you have a VBA and then you want to run it in any Office application, it's going to work the same way it's working. For instance, if you create a VBA now for Excel, and then you now want to create it again for Word, it's going to work exactly the same way it worked for Excel. So that is the last part. So for everything that have an advantage, I guess it will also have a disadvantage. So let's look at the disadvantages of this. And after we look at the disadvantage, then we now go on to record our macro. So before we record our macro as well, there are some add-ons that we need to toggle on, just like the way we also did the other day when we're trying to make use of analytical tools. So we are also going to toggle them on today. So we are going to, I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So, every time I want to toggle on any of those add-ons, we normally go to our file. From file, we're going to achieve all those things. So let's just look at the disadvantages of creating macros by writing VBA code. Okay. The first one is that because VBA code is not a simple language, you might need to learn. It's not everybody that understands this VBA code. You need to learn the VBA language in order to be able to use it. So that's one of the disadvantages. So you might need to learn the VBA language or the VBA coding language. Okay, you need. So you need to learn the VBA language. So that's one of the disadvantage. Then number two, after writing the code, you have to test it, and also you need to also debug it. So that's another headache. So after writing the code, you need to test it. You also need to debug it in case there are certain so you have to test it, and you also have to debug it. So, and that can take a lot of your time, okay, and a lot of your effort. So now the last one, for simple tasks, programming can take more time than recording keystrokes and mouse. That's the last disadvantage. So that is the last disadvantage that we're going to look at. Then we are going straight to go and activate. We go straight to go and activate our macro, and then we are going to run the first macro for this class. So the last one is that over here they say for simple tasks, programming programming can actually take more time than recording your keystroke keystrokes and the mouse click. So that is the end of the note, the little note we say we should just have, and the mouse click. So I just felt that okay, we needed to have these on ground so that when we need this note or this our Excel, whatever, when we are practicing on our own, we can always go back to these for guidance. Okay, so we are going to record a basic macro, okay, that takes cells from one worksheet and deposit them at the bottom of another worksheet. So that's the first thing we're going to do now in this macro. Okay, to record macro, you need to display the developer tab on the ribbon bar. So activity now. Let's look at the activity we want to carry out. So it's time to start carrying out the activity. So what do you want to do? Right. So we are going to record the basic macro. Okay. So the macro takes cells from one worksheet or data from one worksheet, okay, and then it deposits it in another worksheet. So it will go to a worksheet, any worksheet at all, it will take data. So it will take data from that worksheet. So it will take data from one worksheet and it will deposit it in another worksheet. So we are going to go and toggle on one of our developer app now. Developer app that we don't know that is in Excel. So that's what we're going to do. So to record a macro, we need to display the developer app on the ribbon toolbar. So you already know that this is our ribbon toolbar where you have all the tabs. So we have the file, we have home tab, we have all these, insert and all that. So what you need to do is that because it's an add-on, something that you want to also show on the ribbon toolbar, you come to your file. Okay, probably I should also put a shortcut there to actually activate the develop. So let me simply put a note here, right? So to record macro, we need to display the developer tab on the ribbon toolbar. So how do we do that? So I'm going to write out how to achieve that now. So this is what we're going to do. So these are the steps that we're going to take. So here are the steps. So the first one, you go to file. So after you've gone to file, then you now go to your options. Okay, so so go to file. That's the first thing. So this is file, right? So after you get to file, then you click on options. So this is options at the bottom. So you click on options. Then after you click on options, you will now see customize ribbon. Customize ribbon. So when you click on customize ribbon, then you move straight to the right hand side. You're going to see over here, you're going to see developer. So you can see that over here is not ticked. You need to tick this box, okay, in order to be able to activate the developer tab. So you tick it. Once you tick it, then you want to come over here and click on OK. Okay, so you click on OK, and automatically you can see that over here now we now have a developer tab. So the first thing is go to file. Once you go to file, comma, then you now click option. Click on options, comma. Then from options, then you now select customize ribbon. Okay. So once you do that, so on the right hand side of the drop down box, you will see developer. Click on the box right next to it to select it, then click on OK at the bottom. So I think that is that. So let me just come to the bottom here. So I say that at the right hand side.
Your screen is not showing. Your screen is not showing, sir.
Is it for everybody or is it just for only you? Because elders can see my screen. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, give me a thumbs up. Okay, people can see my screen, so I guess it's from your end, sir.
Let her touch her screen. Let her touch. If she's using a phone, she can touch this thing.
Okay, so screen. Yeah, so touch your phone screen just as advised. Okay, so at the right hand side of the drop down box, so after you go to your file, you click on options, you select customize ribbon. At the right hand side of the drop down box, you see. Okay, so the drop down box, you see. So you will see the developer tab. You see a developer tab, comma, then tick the box right next to it. Right next to it, and click on OK at the bottom. OK at the bottom. So that is how to activate your developer tab. Okay, so once you do that, automatically you're going to see a new tab will show up at on the ribbon toolbar. So you can see here now we now have home. We have the home tab. We also have the developer tab. Okay, so this is new. Most of you don't have this except if you have been able to activate your developer tab. So now the next thing you want to do is that want to set security for the developer tab. That's the next thing. You want to set security. So to set security, from the ribbon toolbar, click on the developer tab, then go to the left to locate macro security. So click on the macro security, make sure that the disable all macros with notification is selected, then click on OK. So what am I going to do? Let me just write that instruction here. So the instruction that I'm going to do in order to set security. So let me just put it over here. Okay. So to set security for the developer. So to set security for the developer tab, so come here. So the first thing is that, from the ribbon toolbar, okay, so from the ribbon toolbar, click on developer. Click on developer, then go to the left to locate macro security. Then or to the left, then to the left, locate macro security. Click on macro security, make sure. Okay, so yeah, so does anybody have any question? I cannot see your screen. I am using laptop. So I get it from your end. Maybe your network is poor. I suggest you log out and also try and log in again. Probably that will do the magic. So now let's just, I think we've been doing a lot of typing. And so once you come to the developer tab, right? Yeah, so let me click somewhere around here. Go to the developer tab, right? Once you go to the developer tab, then to the left-hand side of your screen, you see here you have macro security. So click on the macro security, and from this drop down, make sure that this disable all macros with notification is what is toggled on. Now there's a reason for it. The reason is because at times Excel will see some malwares or some programs. Excel normally think that they are viruses, right? So if there is any program that has a macro on it, Excel might feel that is a malware or is a virus. So if you don't put this instruction that it needs to disable all macros with notification, it means that it can just go on and disable your macro even without notifying you, thinking that is a malware or is a virus. So that is why we're actually putting this instruction over here so that Excel will not disable your macro without notifying you. So that is, this one should be toggled on. Once that is toggled on, then you click on OK. And then we are set to start creating our macro. So any question? Any question?
No question.
Okay, so let's start our macro now. So I guess we have done majority of the work. So we're going to press Control N to get a new sheet. So once we press our Control N to get a new sheet, what we want to do is that we want to let's try and create some data that we want to use. So we're going to use just some kind of data. we need like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 headings. So let's just click on 5 headings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So this 5 heading, want to color it, and let's just give it this color. Then this is going to be like order number. So this is going to be order number. So this is hashtag. Okay, so this is order number. Then the next one is going to be region. Region. The next one is going to be month. Next one is going to be size. And the last one is going to be quantity. So this same approach is what we're going to use for all the data we're going to use, because we want to get data from one of the file. Then we need to like ask Excel to input or import that data from that place into another sheet. So we have all these like these. We can simply modify it a little, Control-1, and then want to put a border around it. So let's put a tick border, and then we say okay. So once I put a tick border, then order number, we're going to start having this is okay. So this is going to be 1. So let's quickly select our data region. Let's quickly select it. Then we have 1. We have central. All these ones are going to be central. Central. Okay, then this is February. This is 1 liter. 1 liter. Then this is going to be an amount 10,617. Tab. We have 8. Central as well. Central. Then we have January. We have 2 liters. So this approach is what we want to adopt for everything. There's going to be like 14. 871. This is 11. Central as well. This is February. 2 liters. $3,636. 12. Central. This is March. This is 2 liter. This is 17,000. Now 405. We are almost done. 13. Central. January. 750 liter. Okay, so this is going to be 16. 172. 14. Central. This is going to be January as well. 2 liters. And here is going to be 15. 876. Then the 35, almost done. Central. This is February. This is 2 liter. This is 25. 656. Then the last one, this is 40. Central. January. 750 ml. Here is 13361. So now we are done with the first data. Okay, the first data, this is what it is, right? So we can decide to also okay, I don't want anything to be here. Let me simply let me delete this. So I want it to be like this. Then I can make this I have a frame, Control 1. Then I want to like put in all these structures for it. Fine. So it's not looking good, but okay, so we have the first, sorry. So we have the first data. The first data has been, let's save this on our Excel. Let's save it on, let's just save it as central. So this is going to be central. Central. So this is going to be central. Let's put it on our desktop on this file. So once we have this saved on our desktop, they want to save another one again. So we just want to save with another name. This time around, we're going to save it as, let's say we want to save it as notes, save as. Okay, so save as, then I come over here. I want to save this as note now. So I say note. So I want to say save. And then I'm going to adjust certain things. So yeah, I'm going to put note here. North. And I want to copy. I want to put everything down. Okay, so that is not. Then we can also change some certain information. Let me just copy some. Ctrl C. Then I want to put them here. I just want to like change information somehow. Copy these. Put it somewhere around here. Ctrl V. Copy these. Put it over here. So I think the data has been adjusted somehow. So we're fine. Okay. Yeah, so we now have another data for March. So we have another data for notes. So then let's now try something else. Let's also go and do, so let's save another one now. Let's save another one for maybe another region as well. So we can call these East. So East, this time around, we come and save East, and then let's also change some details. Here, we're going to have East, and all that. So what we want to do is, we are almost done with all the information we want to get. So we come over here, we want to put East all over here. Then I want to do some adjustments. Okay, so now this is fine. So what we are going to do now is that we want to also make sure that all the sheets are opened. The first sheet we have is only this one. So this one that we have here, let's close this one. So this we are going to press, we are going to close this while we try to create our macro. So let's close this. We already have some information. So we have this one. This data is for East. So let's quickly, we can also call this East. So this is from East. Then let's also go and open another information again that is for another region. So let's go and open for Central. So I want to open for Central, and I want to open it this way. Now, to create our macro, remember what we want to do. So we want to get data from one worksheet. I want to import that data into another worksheet. So it means that, let's assume you have different worksheets, and then you have different data in them. And those data, you want to import them. You don't want to start going to import it yourself, or maybe you want to clean the data. There are certain things you want to do on the data. You can always achieve that on your own. Now we have two sheets that are open now. This is the first one, and this is the second one over here. So we have the east, we also have the central. So now, in order for you to be able to switch from one worksheet to another, just press Control plus your F6. So Control plus F6 enables you to switch over. So I've switched now. I am in the east. I switch again. I'm in the central. So if you press Control plus your F6, you can switch between different workbook. Another thing you want to do is that in case you don't want to like press Control plus F6, you can also come to View. Once you come to View, and then to the right-hand side over here, you can see Switch Window. And you can also achieve that. When you switch window, you can always achieve that. So you can see here now, when I say Switch Window, it's showing me that Central is what is selected. If I want East, I can just click on East, and obviously, I'll switch to East. So in order for you to switch your worksheet between different worksheets that are open, you can go to View. From View, come to the right-hand side, you see Switch Window. And from there, you can always switch your window, or you can simply press a shortcut, which is Control plus your F6, and you're going to be switching between different worksheets that are actually opened. So the next thing we want to do is I want to start our macro, right? So we go back to our developer tab. So let's go back to the developer tab. Once we go back to the developer tab, then so the last thing we need to decide now before we start creating is we want to decide, do we want to create our macros, and do we want our macros to operate on absolute reference, or want it to operate on relative reference? Already I've also taught us how absolute reference is and how relative reference is being done. For instance, if I want something to be absolute or relative, if I put my cursor here, for instance, on this my cell D1, I could actually want immediately from this my cell D1, I want it to move to the bottom one step, okay, and it goes straight to the bottom, okay. So that is one movement. What if I say, okay, from this my cell D1, or let's say I'm starting, because your cursor can be anywhere when you're trying to run a macro. Your cursor can be here when you're running a macro. If you are saying your Excel should work as a relative reference, so if the step you recorded is that from the first cell, you click on enter and it comes to one step below, okay, you discover that even if your mouse is over here, the step that you recorded is that from the first, wherever it is, click on enter and it comes down. But if you say from the first step you want to go to A3 and you have locked it over here in A3 as absolute reference, anywhere your cursor is, when you click on enter, automatically it will come to A3 because you have locked it to be absolute. But you have to determine, do I want to record my macro in relative referencing, or do I want it to be recorded in absolute referencing? So you need to determine that, okay? So for this demonstration, we are going to actually maintain relative reference. So let's make sure that relative reference is actually on, okay? So relative reference is actually on. Then the next thing you want to do is that you want to now click to record the macro. So let's click now to record our macro. So we click on the macro, and then this drop down is going to show. Now from this drop down, there are certain things that we're going to do, okay? So once we click to record our macro, the dialog box that comes up, so we need to name this our macro. We need to name it. So the name we are going to give it now, let's call it, because the task we want it to perform is want it to go and get data from somewhere. So let's call it get data. So let's call it get. I don't want everything to be capital letter, but you must note that you can miss the case. You can miss the case, capital and small data. So get data, I could do it this way, but there must not be gap between the name of the macro. So I call it get data. Then for the shortcut key, you need to set a shortcut key that once you want to run the macro, you can simply just click on that shortcut key and then automatically it's going to give you what you want. So what you're going to do is that the key we're going to use is that we're going to use Control Shift and G. Control Shift G. Now you know that when you press your Shift and you press your G, naturally it will give you capital letter G. Okay. So once you click on this box, okay, you want to press Shift G and look at it. Once you press your Shift G, it's like you want to get capital letter G, but it's going to put a shift beside your control. Okay, it's going to put beside your control, and that is how we're able to have that. So we've not actually started recording a macro yet. What we are just doing for now is we are trying to name the macro that we want to create. Okay, so when we get to our developer tab, we already decided that we needed to create macro on a relative reference basis. So after that, we click on record macro, and this dialog box came up. And this dialog box, we already call it the name get data. That is what we want you to perform. Then the shortcut key that we're going to click whenever we want this macro to run is Control Shift G. You know that naturally whenever you press Shift and G, you are trying to get capital letter G. Okay, so that is what you're going to do. Once you click into this box, just hold your Shift key and then press G. So Shift G, and automatically you become Control Shift and G. That's what you're going to have as the name of our macro. And it makes sense actually. So it makes sense like that. So I hope we are following. Are we together? So after we've done all these three things, the next thing is want to do is I want to say, okay, store macro. Where do we want to store our macro? There are actually three places that we can store the macro. The first one is the personal macro workbook. The other one is a new workbook, and the last one is this workbook. So the personal macro workbook is a specific folder, okay, that Excel keeps. And if you have macros in it, they will be available. They will always be available whenever you start Excel. So if you decide to store your macro in this your personal macro workbook, okay, this workbook is a specific workbook that Excel keeps, okay, and then anytime you start your Excel, you're always going to see that workbook. Though it will be hidden, but you can always see it whenever you need it, okay, and it's going to be available whenever you start macro. Then we also have this new workbook, okay. It's also another kind of workbook where you can store your workbook. But because we are working on this macro, okay, on this computer, we're actually going to save our macro on this workbook, not on personal macro workbook, not on new workbook, but we're going to save it on this workbook. If you put it on new workbook, is when you want to share the macro with other people. Okay, if you want to share the macro with other people, you can always save it on new workbook. Okay, so it shows that when you save it on new workbook, you can always share it with other people, and other people will be able to also use it on their own system. But because this macro is going to be used on this workbook, let's just click on this workbook. Okay, so that is what we are going to select actually. So once you select this workbook, then you want to put a description in this box. So the description we're going to put is we're going to say get data from other sheet and deposit them here. Then you click on OK. So let's quickly put that description. So we say this macro gets data. Okay, it gets data from other workbook, and deposit them here. So that is what we're going to call it. So before I click on OK, let me just attend to this person trying to join the call. Okay, admit. All right, so get data from other workbook and deposit them. Yeah, so we'll put a description, okay? Then we can now click on OK. So let's click on OK and let's see what happens. So while you click on OK, right? So now come back to your developer and check. You can see here now when I have stop recording, it means that all our steps now is going to start to be recorded. So anything we do now in Excel is going to be recorded. Now, for the fact that we have not started doing anything, it's going to be recording our keystroke and our mouse click, right? It shows that if you don't actually press anything, okay, you cannot actually, it will not record anything for you. Okay, so to start our steps, the first thing we want to do is that we want to go to home page. And another important thing I also want you to tell us is that whenever you're done recording your macro, okay, once you're done recording your macro, you make sure that you also come back to this stop recording so that Excel will not just be recording everything that you do. And before you know it, the Excel can crash when the space or the memory that it has been exhausted. So the first thing we want to do is that anywhere we are on our worksheet, this is a central Excel worksheet, right? So the first thing we want to do, we want to press Control plus O. So what does that do? It takes us to the first cell on the worksheet. So we say Control plus O. So that is the first step. It's going to record that. So anywhere we are on our Excel, we press Control plus O. You can see that now we are on cell A1. So that is the first step. So even if we are on cell Z in Excel, Control plus O will take you to the first cell in your workbook. Now, the second thing you want to press is you want to press Control plus your down arrow. Control plus your down arrow. Okay, so let's press Control plus your down arrow twice. So the first Control plus down arrow, the first one takes you to the first tab, right? Then the next one, you now press another down arrow again. It takes you to the last tab in the cell, right? Once you have done that, okay, then the next thing is that you want to come down once. So it means that anywhere you are on your worksheet, no matter how big or how long your worksheet is, right? Once you press Control plus O, if you ever get to cell A1, once you get to cell A1, then you now press Control plus the down arrow key. Or if you check your Excel, you see that there are some, if you want to scroll, if you want to go down, okay, without you using your ruling mouse, you can click your down arrow. You can see it. Or so Control plus that down arrow key is what took us. So we are pressing our Control plus down arrow key. We are pressing it twice. Then after that, we now press our down arrow key alone. So what is it going to do? It's taking us to this plain cell. It took us to this plain cell. The first one take us to the home screen. Sorry, to cell A1. So even if on this sheet you have 1 million data, right? When you press Control plus O, it takes you to cell A1. Then you now press Control plus down arrow key. It takes you to the first data, or to the first it takes you to the first heading, okay, on your data. Then press Control plus down arrow key again. It takes you to the last cell of your data. Then you now press only down arrow key once. It takes you to an empty cell. Okay, so we've done the first thing that we want to do, and we've been able to achieve that. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to also now okay, so that is the first thing, right? That's the first thing we want to do. Now, the next thing we want to do is that we want to go to the next place where we need to copy the data from. I hope we are together.
I missed that last part. I tried pressing control plus O, and I'm going to as if I'm going to file.
Okay, so the
Can you
first thing to
recap on
do,
how you
because I'm recording this macro,
how we got to that?
okay, just hold on. Because I'm recording this macro now, the first thing I did was to press Control plus O. It takes you to cell A1. That is the first thing. Then the next command is also press Control plus your down arrow key. Okay, press it once. It takes you to the first heading, okay, in your data, in the data. So the first heading is this order number, right? So I now press Control plus down arrow key again. It means I'm pressing Control plus down arrow key twice. So the first thing, I press Control plus O just once. It takes me to cell A1. Then I press Control plus down arrow key. I press it twice. So the first one takes me to the first data or the heading, the first heading in the data that I have. So which is going to be A3. Then the second Control plus down arrow key that I'm going to press is going to take me to cell A11. Okay. Now, after I've pressed that twice, the next thing I want to do is that I now want to press only the down arrow key only once. Okay. It now takes me to a free space where there is no data. So that is the first thing we are doing. Confirm that you got that accurately. Don't forget that we are recording this macro, so I cannot click on any other thing except when we are ready to go. Are we together? Are we together?
Seems like we are not.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry. Let's just, because we are recording this macro, don't worry. Just follow through in a jotter or anywhere, right? After you've already started recording, okay, you followed all the steps that I told you. You've named your macro. I call it get data. You name the shortcuts. I'm sure you got the shortcut that I put. Then you also name what else did we name? After the shortcuts, we also put a description. Yeah, so we put a description and all that. Then we also say we want it to record on these worksheets. Okay. After we've done that, then the next thing we did is that we now press Control plus Home key. Control plus the Home. It takes you to cell A1. Now you now press Control plus down arrow key. It takes you to the first data, the first cell in your data, the first cell, which will obviously be, if your data has heading, is going to be the first heading, okay, which is going to be the first column where your heading is, which is order number, is going to take you there. Then the next Control plus down arrow key take you to the last cell on that same data. Make sure that your data, you actually give it this surrounding. You can see that I put it inside. What's it called now? I put a border beside it. Okay. So the first Control plus down arrow key took me to this order number. The second Control plus down arrow key took me to this place where I have 40. Then after that, and I pressed down arrow key once. It now took me down to where there's no data at all. Okay, so once this is achieved, we are good. Then the next thing is that we want to now switch now to our next sheet where we want to get the data from. So remember the shortcut I told you. I told us you should press Control plus F6. So that's what I'm going to press now. Once, Control plus F6, and I've pressed it. And now I'm on a new worksheet, which is the East worksheet. Okay, so once I'm on this new worksheet, I'm going to repeat the same thing I did before. But this time around, listen to what I'm going to do. The first one, I said Control plus Home key is the same thing. I'm going to press Control plus Home. It's going to take me to cell A1. If you are seeing my cursor, I am now on cell A1 because I press Control plus Home. Now, the next thing I want to do is that I'll press, this time around, it's not the same because now I want to copy. Okay? I want to copy down. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Control plus the down arrow key. I'll press it only once now, not twice. I'll press it only once. Control plus down arrow key. Only once is what I press it, right? Only once is what I pressed. Then once I press Control plus down arrow key once, then you want to now press you now press the down arrow key only now. Just press it only once now. Only once. So I'm now on cell A4. Okay, I'm now on cell A4. So once you have been able to achieve that, the next thing we want to do is that now, because we want to copy, you're going to press Control Shift and down arrow key. So we now press Control Shift and the down arrow key once. Okay, so you can see that when I press it once, it selects from cell A4 to cell A11. So Control Shift plus the down arrow key selected from cell A4 to cell A11. Then the next thing I want to do also is that I now also press Control plus Shift plus the right arrow key now, not down, right. So I press Control Shift, then the right arrow key just once. Okay, you can see I've selected all the data, right? So the next thing I want to do is I want to now copy it by pressing Control C. Okay, once I press Control C, it is copied to my clipboard. I press Control C, it's copied to my clipboard. You can see that there is this matching ant that is moving around the data. So once I've pressed it, then the next thing I want to do, I want to go back to the first worksheet that we use. So make sure that it's only 2 worksheets that you have opened. The worksheet that you are putting the data and the worksheet that you are taking the data from. Okay, so I've copied this one now. What do I need to do now? What I need to do now is I will now press, to go back to that other data, I want to press Control plus F6. Control plus F6. You can see I'm now back in this data. And when I left this data, I was already on an empty cell below 40. I'm already on an empty cell below 40. Okay, so now when I land on this new cell, what do? I simply press Control V. Okay, I simply press Control V. So let's press Control V. Okay, so Control V now, it has pasted the data for me. Now, once you have pasted the data, okay, then the next thing is that you want to now clear up your clipboard. You know, your clipboard, you already have something that you copied on your clipboard. So press your escape key to take away whatever you have copied on your clipboard. Okay. Then the next thing is that now press Home, not Control Home, or just only Home. Press Home. Okay. So it deselects the area that has been selected. Okay. So then after that, you go back to your developer tab to stop recording. So we are done with that. Come back to your developer tab now and click on the developer tab. Then you can now come here and click on stop recording. Okay. Obviously now we are done recording. Okay. So you can see what we have done. We first of all went to another worksheet. So now, the reason why I normally like making notes is because I don't want us to miss out on any of the things that I'm going to say. Okay, now to now know whether our macro actually worked well, you can see that here manually we went to copy all these things, right? We went to copy all these things manually, right? To now know whether our macro actually worked well, we need to close this other worksheet. Let's close this other worksheet, which is this East. Let's close East. Okay, let's close East. So let's save East and then let's close it. So we have closed East, right? now we are left with the data where we have copied something to. So it's time to now test what we have done, whether it actually worked or not. So it's time to test what we have done, whether it actually worked or not. So let's come back to this our cell, right? So we want to go and open another worksheet. Now let's go and open for, we have central here, we have east. Let's go and open for north. So let's go to north. Let's come here and open for north. I click here, then I click open. So yeah, I want to open this, and that is fine. So let's see what happens. So now this is opened now, fine. So what they want to do, not is opened, okay? So what we want to do is that when I come back to this same, our whatever, right? This is where we are. So what they want to do, you don't need to do anything. Just press your Control Shift G. Let's see what happens. Control Shift and G. You can see automatically it went to get not for us. Can we see that it has gotten not for us? Hello? Please unmute your mic.
Hi.
Can you see that it has gotten not? Do you understand it? It has gotten
Yes,
not.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. So to be sure that is actually working, right? Let's also, now this sheet now contains a macro, right? So we cannot save it anyhow. We have to save it that it's a sheet that contains a macro. But let's go back to this our sheet here. It is our sheet. Let's try and create another. Let's try and create another data that is actually more encompassing. So let's create another data. So let's call this North Central now. Let's call it North Central, and let's create another data that is more bulky, okay? So that we can test whether what we are doing is actually working. So let's come over here and they want to save North Central. So for this our North Central, we want to create more data. So here we're going to call it North. Okay. So some people are joining the call, some people are leaving the call. I don't know why, but I don't know if it is a network, but it's fine. So let's now call these. Now let's call these. If we are going to call this North Central. Okay. And want to like adjust this data. I want to make sure that the data is enormous. What's it called? So let's also duplicate this data. Let's come over here. Let's duplicate this data, or let me do something like this. I just want to copy. I want to duplicate this data. Control V. I'm going to copy this. I just want to duplicate the data. Control V. Control V. Sorry that it's taking time. I just want to, I just want to like get more data over here. Control V. And let's take these like this. So what I'm going to do for us, for those of us that didn't get it, is fine. It's fine that you didn't get it. I'm going to show you a step-by-step approach that you're going to use for it. Okay, so now we now have this data. This is another data. This is North Central. Let's save it. Now let's now come back to our. So now we have the central and now we have the North Central. So let's come back to our central, because it's on this central that we need our data, right? So all you need to do is we have only 2 worksheets opened. And don't forget what we are trying to do. We are trying to do get data is what we are trying to do. So you don't need to bother yourself. All you need to do is just have 2 data opened, right? Just have 2 data open. No matter how. And one good thing about this thing is that no matter how large that data is, no matter how large it is, right, it's going to get all the data. Why? Because when we're creating the get data, the first one, we press Control Home, and it went to cell A. The next thing we now did is that when I press Control down arrow, it came over here to the first cell where the data is contained. Then when I press another Control down arrow again, it now came to the last cell where there's data, right? Then after that, when I press down arrow once, it now came to an empty cell. Then when I switch over to the next cell, when I press Control F6, when I shift to the other cell, I also press Control Home. Okay. I press Control Home, it took me to the first cell. Then I press Control down arrow, it took me to the first data on this place. Then because I want to copy this data, and I press down arrow only once, then so that I can start selecting. Then the next thing, I hold my Control Shift and down arrow. So it selected all the things that are on this place. Even if this thing contains 1 million data, 1 million, it's going to select everything to the bottom. Then the next thing I also did is that I also hold my Control Shift and I press my right arrow so that it's going to select everything for me. Then I copied it and I press Control F6 to go back to the first sheet, and I went to paste. So no matter how large your data is, this your get data is going to get all the data for you, no matter how large it is. Even if the data is containing more, is in a lot of places that is larger than what we are working with. As far as you have gotten your get data macro, you are using the right prompt that you need to use, you are going to achieve exactly what you want to achieve. So now we have this data. Now we have we've copied central, we've copied east, we use our get data to get our notes. So now we want to also go further to also get another thing, right? So we don't need to bother anything. We don't need to bother. All you need to do is that just have two worksheets opened. The worksheet you need the data to be copied into, right? And the worksheet that you want to copy the data from. So make sure that you are in the worksheet you want the data to be copied into. This is the worksheet I need the data to be copied into. That's where I am. So what you need to do is that just press Control Shift and your G. Automatically, it's going to go to that other data by itself. Look at what it's going to do. It's going to go to that data by itself and it's going to copy North Central. Look at it. Now we now have our Central, we have our East, we have our North, and then we have our North Central. So you can see how Excel is going to be working for us if we can learn this our macro. So this is just by recording our clicks, right? This is just by recording our clicks. So if we want me to write out everything that we did to get it, just give me a thumbs up and I'll write it out for you on the note that we're using. You want me to write everything that I did out? Okay, so fine. So let's stay on the call and let me write it out for us so that you can use that to actually get it right. Also, don't forget that it's a macro, you are recording it. So it's very important that you get it at once. If I were you, I wouldn't even try it while we are still on the call, because it's a macro. If you make an error, everything is going to be saved like that. Okay. So I want to open this sheet and then I want to record. I want to type out everything that I did in that stuff that gave us this stuff. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure we all understood how to actually get our security for the developer. So on the VBA toolbar, click on developer, then click on locate the macro security. So after you've done that, then what is the next step to do? Let me see. So I will type it out now so that we can see what we need to do. So yeah, so click on macro security, make sure that, okay, so right here. Okay, so that is for that. Then so since we'll be taking data from another worksheet, open the two data that you want to use. Okay. So okay, so make sure that you do not open any browser. Also, make sure you don't open any browser, don't open any other application. Okay, make sure that it's only the two Excel worksheet that you want to get data from that is opened. Okay, don't open any other browser or any other thing, or Chrome or YouTube or any other thing. Make sure that it's only those two stuff that is actually open. Okay, so after that, the first thing to know, I already told us also now to switch back and forth from so let's also go there. Okay, so press Control plus F6 or go to your so press Control plus F6 or go to, I'm coming on. Somebody wants to join the call, but I can't see the person. Maybe the person has gone out. I can't see the person. Okay, so just make sure that yeah, so just press F6 or you go to view or go to the view tab and select switch worksheets. Okay, so that also works. That also works. So that is fine. So at least you need to know that you need to switch worksheet. You cannot start doing it manually, like doing like this, because it's going to be recording all your clicks, right? You want to make sure that everything you're doing is actually mature. Make sure that you know how to switch between worksheets. So just press your Control F6, or you can go to your view tab, okay, and then you now switch your windows, okay, switch your windows and all that, right? So that is that. So let's now move on. Now, that is that. Now, so go back to the developer tab. Okay, I also talked about deciding whether you want to record in absolute referencing or relative referencing. So question, who is this person disturbing us? So we need to decide okay. Okay, so that's that. Then we now say that for this demonstration, so we want to use relative referencing. So we turn on so that is that. Now to now start recording, click on record macro. We start recording. So the record macro dialog box coming. Let's give it a name. Macro can oh, so that's that. So macro cannot have spacings between the names. So the name of the macro is get data there. The shortcut key is a control plus shift G. So control plus shift G. Then how do you achieve that? Shift G. Click on the box and type shift G as if you are going to type capital letter G. Okay. So now to achieve that now, so you now click on the box and type okay, click on the box and hold your shift key. So hold your shift key and press G as if you want to get capital letter G. Okay, so that's how to actually name your shortcut. So we have given it Control plus Shift D. Now to record the macro, we have 3 choices to store the macro. Sorry. So you know that when you start your recording, you need to like give your recording the appropriate name, the appropriate title, and every other thing. Then you also need to also talk about where you want to store your macro. So to store the macro, we have 3 choices actually. So let's quickly get that down. To store the macro, we're almost done. We have 3 choices. Okay, so we have 3 choices. Number 1, full stop. We could sorry, we could store it in the personal macro workbook. Okay, so this is a specific folder that Excel keeps, and if you have a macro in it, there will always be available. Okay, so that's that. Then we have the next one. We have number 2. We have the new workbook. So I feel that do we call it a day for now? Can you hear me? Is anybody on the call? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, hearing you, sir.
So that I can I can update the note and share it with us. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, please, let's call it a day.
All right.
All right, so at least we've done the macro already. So it's just for us to see the note that will guide us on it. So thank you everybody for actually joining the call. You have all done absolutely well. So I believe this is another step. So we've done lecture 21. We have 9 lectures to go. And by God's grace, we that started the lecture will finish it together. So thank you, everybody. Do have a lovely night rest. The recorded video, as usual, we posted to the YouTube channel so that you can watch it and